It's a beautiful day for another weekly Q&A session, and if you're wondering what this is a similar setup to the weekly live streams, except instead of being live, it is pre-recorded and based off of the questions that are posed on both the YouTube member section and then also, of course, on Discord. If you want to participate for free, you can do it in the link in the description below through Discord, and all you need to do is find your way over here to the weekly Q&A section under the K video content section and just find the most recent week. Anyways, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we'll do just a very quick Bitcoin synopsis right here. I mean, really very little has changed for me in the last few days, or actually in the past week, I suppose. Still looking at Bitcoin as overall corrective and likely to potentially come down a little bit lower, about $93,500, as we did say this past week. It has found a bit of support here at the 618 Fibonacci retracement. So I suppose, you know, if you are a little more optimistic, I mean, this could act as the potential base for another higher low. But Bitcoin would have to do a lot of work in order to confirm that. For example, we'd have to see at least a daily closure, I would say, at this point, above about $99,000, that 50% retracement level right here. Until then, this is technically still a downtrend and still technically momentum is remaining to the downside, which is why I continue to remain with that $93,500-ish area of interest. And right now, the daily momentum, you know, remains down as long as Bitcoin's below $98,500. So unless it clears that tonight, I would still be looking for that move to occur probably early this week, if I had to guess. Other than that, I think we can get right into the Q&A. We can go start off here, of course, with the YouTube members as they get priority. And Martin Sean Hunt, very nice. Just a nice safe travels message, sir. How lovely. Anyways, we'll move on to Crypto Rect, and he says, good to hear that you folks are visiting, enjoying your time in Florida. Indeed, we are, man. It has been absolutely beautiful here. Bit disappointing for Aussies. Will be difficult to join live streams. I don't think that we're going to be doing live streams while we're here. Maybe when we go to the next city, perhaps we will, but for right now, it's going to be very difficult while we're here in Orlando. Anyways, you'd like to look at Sui, Deep, and Zig. Let's check those out. Sui first, obviously. And I called a top on Sui about a month ago, and I still remain with this top call here. It is in a bounce phase. That much is obvious, but I mean, this call came when Sui was trading about $5, and we did actually, I mean, we saw a 50% retracement there. It doesn't look like it on the chart, but I mean, that is a fucking tremendously massive move, just to verify. Yeah, 55% down from the highs, and trying for a bit of a bounce here. But similar to Bitcoin, you know, I do see this as weakness on the lower, you know, on the lower sort of time frame look. I do think that Sui could very easily come back down a little bit lower. It doesn't need to come down, you know, super low, but maybe closer to about 270-ish region or so. And potentially play out, you know, a decent bounce there, because this downside move has essentially been unabated since the 6th of January. I mean, there's a small bounce attempt right here, but this was not like a clear reversal or anything like that. So while I do think that Sui can come a little bit lower, I think the focus here, or at least my focus, would be on an impending bounce. And bounce target, you know, a very easy one would be the 382 level here. I think that gets hit, you know, no matter what, at about $3.50. Again, you know, does Sui come a little bit lower first like this, or does it bottom out here and try for this move, something like that perhaps? But it's really unfortunate for Sui, because as long as, I mean, it's unfortunate for Sui. I mean, Sui doesn't give a fuck. Sui doesn't give a fuck about me or you. It's an inanimate object, and it only just steals your money and returns nothing. No, I don't know what it does. I don't really care what it does. But I would have to remain bearish on this thing, especially as long as it's below this little swing high here from January 31st. And that's all the way at 4.25. So that's a pretty fucking tremendous move from where it's at right now. I wouldn't count on that just yet. But hey, you know, if it does, you'd hear me flip around to being bullish. But here's the thing with the monthly time frame, the very high term time frames. I mean, this is clearly reversal, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising to see it hit this target like so soon. It's just, I think you're in for a bounce, but be wary on that bounce. Of course, we'll come back to it after the bounce, but I think that probably takes us into the rest of this month, to be honest. Anyways, moving on to Deep. This is actually one that I was looking at myself. This one did really fucking good when we first found out about it. I mean, when I first found out about it, I mean, perhaps you found out about it earlier. This was back on over in very late December before this tremendous move from like 9 cents to 33, 34 cents. But similar to Sui, this one, you know, providing a reversal here. I mean, the weekly is ugly. It's ugly as fuck. In fact, it's ugly as fuck. And while I do think that in the short term, similar to Sui, similar to Bitcoin, you might see an extension of this downside move a little bit more for Deep. This one could come down to maybe 14 cents or so. I do think that you're going to be in for a bit of a bounce around that region. Looking at daily momentum, we can see that it is, very fucking beat up here, remaining to the downside as long as Deep is below 21.5 or more than 21.5 cents. So it's got a lot of work to do, to be fair. I wouldn't necessarily count on that happening today, but hey, I guess weirder things have happened. So that is why I do remain short term looking for more downside. But similar to Sui, similar to Bitcoin, I do think that, you know, you get a decent bounce off of that region. I'm just going to assume it comes down somewhere around 14 cents. Maybe it comes a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher, but somewhere around there. On a bounce, very likely to get another test somewhere around about 19.5 cents. But just like Sui, I would have to remain bearish on this one for a while, as long as it's below about 25 cents or just a quarter right there on a closing basis. So got a lot of work to do, and we'll see what happens after the bounce. But that should, again, probably take us into, I don't know, the next couple of weeks, maybe into the end of the month. What's the other one? Zig. Okay, this is one that I'm not familiar with at all. All right, let's see what we got here for Zig Chain. Just making sure that I need to make sure that I'm actually recording. Okay, the microphone's working. That's also good. Don't know what this thing is. Well, I guess long term, actually not so bad. But yeah, I've seen this a lot on many different alts from our last live stream, where they're coming off of these failed breakout attempts and then breaking down from there. And this one, you know, I think just like the last couple ones, probably reaches a little bit lower. I mean, how much lower? It doesn't need to go that much lower, maybe closer to like 8.25 cents. But some of the other ones, I think that you're probably going to get a bounce somewhere around there. But again, very, very skeptical on a bounce as long as it's below about 12 cents or so on a closing basis. This is a weekly time frame, by the way. But for right now, I mean, it does still hold its uptrend. I just a lot of the time see this as a major reversal formation, especially with daily below all major moving averages here. So yeah, just kind of wrapping this one up. You know, maybe one more stab a little bit lower. Maybe it even bottoms out a little bit here. Very likely in for a bounce somewhere around 11.5 to 12 cents. But from there, things become difficult. Again, needs to reclaim the area that we spoke about, I believe, at around 14 cents in order for me to get bullish. Sorry, I said 12 cents before. Let's actually draw this for this current move. So I'm going to guess it comes somewhere down around here. Okay, yeah, that does look a little more right. Yeah, above 12 cents, I'd be bullish again. Until then, short term, probably does get a bounce after maybe one more stab lower towards 10.5 to 11.5 cents. But, that'd still be another lower high, unfortunately. Ultimately, I think that this one will do somewhat of like a range behavior for a while, something like this for a while. But these long term, a lot of the time I do see them break down after a while. I mean, this can drag on for a couple months before it even really moves outside of that range, to be fair. All right, nice. I think we've gotten through all of the YouTube members. If you want to join in on YouTube and get priority, because we only do these for a limited amount of time, then you can find the link, or you can find the join button. You can figure it the fuck out. How about that? You can figure it out. That's the cost to enter. You have to be able to use your brain and figure it out. Kidding. Anyways. From You Fucker on Discord, it says, Dear Erica, spelled very correctly as well. I've been a viewer since early 2021, and I want to say thanks for not taking any days off. I appreciate that, man. The streak continues. We're almost 7 years of everyday posting, and that is really a testament to my OCD. Anyways, 4 questions. Are your spreadsheets more autistic than you are, or about the same? Well, they are directly proportional to my autism, hence the exaggerated autismism, if that makes sense. Have you considered using nighttime or dark mode in Excel? Nope, I will never do that. It actually, to me, it doesn't look too good in Excel, although I typically do prefer the darker complexions for apps and whatnot. But yeah, on Excel, I don't know, the classic white looks better to me. Anyways, why is Elsa bullish on body hair on a man bear pig such as yourself? Can you give me an answer? Elsa says, WTF. And why do you think that? Because hair is good. Elsa says hair is good on a man. Yes, you have to have exuberant amounts of testosterone in order to have body hair like this. So anyways, why do you think that is okay for you and I to have separate opinions about something? That is not okay. That's exactly right. We're on the internet. If you disagree with me, there is absolutely no way that we can coexist. Your opinion must match mine in every way, shape, or form, or I will leave you a bad comment. Anyways. Appreciate it, man. Doesn't seem to be anything more than that one. Anyways, Pearson says, does Elsa like Rope Hintz or Mikko Rantanen more? Who do you like more? No idea who those are. She says, no idea who those are. I Sky Ski. Oh man, that is fucking hard to say. Hello, sir. Just looking for a general impression, not necessarily hard data with respect to position sizing. How much does the amount of volume traded on Bitcoin from a bull market versus a bear market? This seems like a different question that's attached to this question. What? Elsa says if they're hockey players, she likes Teemu Salonisen. All right, whatever. Anyways, with respect to position sizing, how much does the amount of volume traded on Bitcoin change from a bull market versus a bear market? Actually, during the trending portions of the bull and bear market, it's not so different. In fact, I've noticed in the past, the volume and generally the interest, especially on YouTube, like my YouTube views, they do decently during an up phase during the bull market, like the actual breakout, but they actually do better on that first major reversal. So in 2021, this is actually, or even more than that, it was more like this, from about 50,000 all the way down to 30,000. That is when my channel views were going absolutely fucking insane. So the volume traded, I don't think changes all that much, to be honest. I can even bring up a volume indicator here. Obviously, I know that you didn't ask for like a super in-depth answer, but I'm actually just curious for myself. Let's just plop it up. There we go. And whoops, I am drawing just random lines here. You can see that in general, in downside markets, all of the biggest, not in downside markets, but just in general markets, all the biggest volume bars are going to be red. And there's a reason, there's a logical reason for that. During downside markets, what happens? People panic, people make panicky emotional decisions, and they're going to sell. They're not going to buy. They're not going to panic buy. They're going to panic sell. So yeah, that might just be my channel, but yeah. Anyways, as far as position sizing goes, you do have to be aware that if you are trading Bitcoin, which you probably are, that the difference in price, like for example, let's take the last market cycle, for example. The difference in price at 60,000, 70,000 versus, 15,000 over here, your position size, if you have the same position size, like 10 Bitcoin position size, just for example's sake, that is going to have significantly more risk when price is a lot higher than when it is a lot lower, because you're trading just a bigger notational value, of course. So you could just draw a direct proportion or correlation to, the amount that you want to trade in. So think of it in dollar terms rather than Bitcoin terms would be better, and that will keep things consistent. But of course, during the bear market and bull market, things are actually very similar. The way that you go up is the way that you come down. And then it's the boring parts, both at the top of the bull market and the bottom of the bear market. Those are the boring parts. That's actually where I would suggest to size down a bit, because that's where a lot of people get chopped up and give back a lot of unnecessary profits, assuming that they have some. So I wouldn't say that actually changes all that much, but volume technically is higher during downside markets. And do I adjust my position size in order to get filled? At this point, in Bitcoin, if you're trading altcoins, yeah, you're fucked. That's if you're trading any like legitimate size, of course, it's going to be difficult. But for the average person, or just any person who's not like a major hedge fund or quant firm or anything like this, you don't really have to worry about position size. And if you're putting in orders for like under 5 million, you're going to get filled. It's going to be okay. So yeah. All right. Anyways, let me just grab my water over here. I'm desperately thirsty, as always. Okay. Mick says, hi, I have a question about the Joule indicator. Why is this green? Is this zone green if the lines did not reach the critical lower zone? My man, you need to watch the educational materials that accompany the indicator, because it would explain what the green zone represents, which is not related in any way, shape, or form at all whatsoever to the Joule oscillators right here. It is based off of the God mode indicator. And that fires off when it fires off. It's completely different code. So it's just, kind of like an added confirmation tool is how you really should look at it. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, you don't need to reach into any zone to be fair. I mean, although it typically does. All right. Matix says, regarding the monthly 5 EMA, I was flipping through a bunch of altcoin charts and saw that some had lost it back in January. Others had more recent bearish back tests and continued down, and some are still well above it. Aside from it being, before we go on, I should put a point of clarification here. I actually don't think that using the monthly 5 EMA on altcoins is going to be that fruitful. The reason being, they just lack the necessary history to be making it, like worthwhile. With Bitcoin, you have 14, 15 years of history, so especially from about 2015 on, it acts pretty damn well. But if you're trading altcoins, just the lack of history is going to make it very difficult for that to populate properly and act properly. Maybe you could use an even lower period than that. I don't know, like a fucking 2. I would have to test it out, but I would actually refrain from even looking at the month. I mean, for most altcoins, you don't even really have a fucking monthly chart, right? Like, let me find a newer altcoin here. Where is a newer one? Yeah, how about this one? I mean, is this helpful? Actually, this one would be helpful, to be fair, but so maybe a bad example. I mean, this one is topping out here. But you get my point. I mean, there's very limited history here. You're probably going to be better served by looking at the weekly time frame for an altcoin, even if that, I mean, in many cases for altcoins, like the new shitcoins for a cycle, it's the daily trend that governs things, or maybe even the 2-day trend is probably a little bit better for the overall direction. If you wait for the weekly, if you wait for the monthly, you're going to miss a lot of the move. So yeah, anyways, yeah, I think that addresses the rest of your question as well, because I don't think it applies in that way. Anyways, Flicky says, good day from down under. Good day to you, sir. Can you do Dixie monthly, weekly? Also, what are your thoughts on Dixie increasing while Bitcoin also increases in price? Yeah, you see this at extremes typically, but I do think that Dixie, as I said, I believe about 2 weeks ago, is putting in a major high here, a swing high, and I haven't checked on it in a while. Let's see, is that still holding true? Yeah, still holding true here. It's going to kind of flippy floppy, sideways here, I expect, in this range between about 107 to the downside versus 109 and a quarter to the upside for a while. But ultimately, I still think that this one does come down a little bit lower, even if you're super fucking bullish, perhaps somewhere close to about 105, 105 and a half even, and tries for a higher low there. If it is going to be bullish, I'd be expecting a reversal there. If it is not, then I'd be expecting reversal to be canceled and it trades lower. But yeah, I do think that this one is putting in a swing high here. So it's going to take time, obviously. Probably doesn't even happen this month, maybe more so in March. Does that help out Bitcoin? We'll see. I mean, I do think that there is an unnecessary obsession, maybe, with looking at Dixie with regards to Bitcoin. I mean, it's fun to look at on a day when the rest of the things are kind of boring, or there's not many new things. Perhaps check in on it. But as you correctly identified, I've seen many times during extreme bull markets, both of them rally together, and I've seen during extreme bear markets, both of them fall together. And looking at it as relevant would have been very harmful in those times. As always, it's best to look at whatever asset that you actually want to trade, and just go off of that. So, if you want to trade Bitcoin, look at Bitcoin. Yeah, you can look at Dixie, but you should prioritize that, like, not even secondary, not even tertiary, not even fourth, but maybe like fifth, something like that. All right. Cool. Love Wood says, "Hey sir, oh yes, let's do some SPY futures. What's up, man? I've seen you in the member section on Discord, and I appreciate your comments a lot of the time. Anyways, looking at SPY futures here. This is my first time looking at it this week, actually. I do think it is putting in a swing high as of right now. Friday's closure was not great. The weekly tells me that this is still an overall range, but I would be looking for next move down most likely. Range being between, I mean, if you want to do like the real weekly range, pretty fucking massive, but I'll just go off with the last higher low in this case, because I think that that's not going to be too helpful for right now. You know, SPY does it. I suspect that it will open up this week, this coming week, down and trade closer to 6,000. Maybe even come all the way a little bit below 6,000 at 5970-ish region. The thing is that you still have a higher low there, and as always, I'm going to favor the prior trend until proven otherwise. And this is still an uptrend. This is still long-term bullish. I don't really have any major concerns with this yet, especially as long as the monthly is above that 5 exponential moving average. But do we get this current short-term correction coming down a little bit further south? I think so, yeah. Somewhere down around here, and then if it is going to be bullish, we'd be expecting a nice big bounce my face, and then hopefully for the Bulah's sake, continue. I mean, if this thing tops out too, I mean, then obviously Bitcoin's going to be in deep shit because below the 5 exponential on this move on a monthly closing basis, I mean, I'd have to be looking at a correction, you know, another like 5% correction maybe. Could be one of those, but for now, I remain bullish there. You know, trend is your friend, and the trend is still to the upside. Yeah, if I'm just looking at the weekly, I mean, seems quite clear here, especially with momentum turning back up here as well. All right, Gallows next says, "Hello, sir. Can we do AVAX and Uni Weekly? How about one?" Those are my two biggest bags, and I was targeting $90 for AVAX and 24 for Uni. Well, actually, I'm genuinely curious to see what Uni looks like, but we'll actually do this on AVAX. What? Well, oh, whoops. Uni. Whoops. Derp. Anyways, here we go. Ugly as fuck, sir. Oh, you entered in at $24. Okay. You entered in you must have bought this like years ago, in 2021. The thing is that, is this your next weekly high or low here? I guess it's going to try. I don't like this thing. I just don't fucking like it, man. It's been weak this cycle. It's never a good sign to me. Do I think it bounces here? I mean, sure, it can bounce like 10, $11, but that doesn't do anything for it. It means nothing. As long as it's below about 13, I mean, I'd just remain overall bearish. But above 13, I will be wrong. And this thing, I guess, would be in just a very ugly and weak uptrend on the weekly. But yeah, I wouldn't count on it. AVAX, I'm genuinely curious for these in general, though. Only one question per per comment. Same shit here as well. I mean, just fucking garbage, these things. Again, not calling you garbage or anything like that. But yeah, not liking these charts. I remember, I definitely remember that we've looked at these multiple times for you as well. You know, looking for 90, especially after this last move to the downside, I think it's very unlikely. I think that this is, again, more than likely a major top here. There will be bounces, obviously. Maybe it bounces up to 30-ish again. But as long as it's below 32, I'm just bearish on this thing. If it can reclaim 32, okay. You know, perhaps I'm wrong. In fact, I'd very likely be wrong at that point. But even then, I mean, is 90 a reasonable target based off of this? I think 65 to 70 would be a little more reasonable. 90 is a pretty big stretch. But yeah, probably does get 70 if that were to happen. But I have great skepticism towards that happening, just to be very abundantly clear. In the short term, though, it probably gets a bounce here. I think a lot of things, could very easily bounce decently. Anyways, all right. Anyways, you're saying with the current liquidation event, what do you expect the very long term for these? Normally, I don't use leverage at 175x before the dump. I did have some. Holy shit! You had to cover at 175x. It's like a 99% move. Maybe I'm reading something wrong here. What do you suggest on situations where your portfolio takes a big hit? I never panic sell, but I had to mitigate some risk. The problem is that, and I think someone else said this, or I'm drawing this from somewhere else. If you borrow someone else's conviction, it's never going to be worthwhile when things get tough like this. You kind of have to have your own conviction. Look, if you really believe in the projects, if you really if you're like a programmer and you can understand the coding and you think it's good, and you understand these things in a way that I do not. That's not my edge. I don't play that game. But if you do, I mean, then you have to go with that. But for me, like, I just look at the chart and and I think, first off, why long term? I'd be more interested in why you got into it long term, just to understand the thought process. To be honest, not trying to like talk down to you or anything like that, but like genuinely curious. But as far as like managing during these situations, it completely depends on your disposition, completely depends on your goals. And, I don't really know what that is for you. It sounds like it's more long-term for you. Was this a part of your plan? At the end of the day, the real answer, the best answer I can possibly give you, which you might not like, but it is the best answer, is that you need to have a plan set in place before you ever even enter the trade to begin with, because your plan should naturally incorporate, what to do if X situation happens. So if price comes to X area, I need to get the fuck out, because that tells me that, whatever prior idea that I had about price is so unlikely to happen at this point that it is better to just take the loss now before it gets worse for my Angus. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that. Something to employ in the future. Create a strategy, sir. A strategy. Strategy is good. Strategy, very, very good. Anyways, Tobo says, good day, sir. With Elon at dog, Tesla stock has been dropping. Huh. Maybe they're not related. Crazy. Where are your likely bottom targets? All right, let's check it out. Tesla. It might be because dog and Tesla are different. Where are my downside targets? I think on this move, you probably at least hit the 5 exponential at 350. If the monthly closes below 350, I would extend those downside targets significantly more towards 300, somewhere between like 280 to 300. But for right now, to me, Tesla looks like okay, let me just do like the long term. Tesla looks like one massive long-term, in this case, consolidation here. This is the monthly, by the way. So, this can take a long time to kind of fill itself out. Again, assuming that it does fail 350 by the end of this month, I don't know if it will, but if it does close below there, I'd be looking for something like this, honestly. Maybe you get a higher low somewhere around like 230, and it does something like this. If you see that, okay, that's going to be long-term bullish, but I do think that it will test lower there, so keep your eye on the monthly, because that's where I'd really be making long-term decisions on something like this, which technically could have significantly more downside. Like I said, somewhere around 240-ish region. Could be a while. Anyways, Myth Reindeer says, hello there, good sir. A couple weeks ago, I asked how to spot a change in behavior in your strategy. You said to compare various samples of 20-ish trades, for example, from different periods. Yeah, it's basically forwards testing in real time. I did so, and they seem to be pretty much around the average, but some periods were ranging on the P&L curve. And of course, those were a bit different from the overall stats. I suppose that's all right. Shall I just try to compare bigger sample sizes? You could, depending upon what time frame you're using, if it's a lower time frame, you have a lot of iterations, maybe instead of 20 as a sample, you do 50 as a sample. Yeah, I don't know what your exact strategy is, but perhaps that'll be more worthwhile, again, if you are on a lower time frame or if you're just getting a lot of iterations to begin with. But yeah, it seems like you have the right idea anyway. So I think the way that you've done it, it does sound like it's probably fine, but you also might want to check a bigger sample size. I would also suggest, to overthink a little bit less, but it is worthwhile trying, see what like a 50 sample size looks like. Again, I'm just assuming you're getting a lot of iterations. If you're not, then that's not going to really, I don't think it's going to make too much sense, but yeah. All right. Hey, mate, can we get a crown traveling indicator? Markets seem to dump like clockwork when you travel. Sometimes they pump, actually. Bitcoin made new all-time highs above $100,000 the time that we traveled before this, in fact. Anyways, you're looking at STX. STX, okay. And you're referencing the RSI. All right, let me go over to this chart then. Oh, God. What a fucking ugly piece of shit. Not you, but the chart. Not you, but the chart. Wow. Wow. I do think that it will eventually go a little bit lower towards 70 cents, but is it going to try a bounce before that? It probably tries a bounce before that, honestly. I mean, it really wouldn't take too much to get a bounce here. Is there hidden bullish evidence? No. And you can't even have hidden bullish evidence here because it is a downtrend. But let me just reference this again. Yeah, you definitely do. Oh, does it have bullish evidence? No, you do not have bullish evidence here, or at least not on a time frame that matters, like a weekly, or even a daily for that matter. Jesus. Yeah, no bullish evidence at all. Not even possible right now, in fact. So, yeah, that's, I mean, if it does get a bounce, I'd probably just be looking for it to roll over. I guess could bounce to like 115 if it wanted, but yeah, just fucking, I mean, these things that have just been going down for the past couple of months without any real bounce, just so bad, so bad. Yeah. All right, let's look at the next one. We have MS109 was the top. Hello, Sir Crown and Madame Elsa. Hope you're both doing well. Super on any exchange, daily and weekly. Is price ranging for a while between the 50 and the 80? 50 cents and 80 cents. Okay. Let me go over here. Super. Is it going to be range between 50 and 80? I mean, I do think you're going to be generally right with that. If you're looking at like a daily range, for example, if you're going off of the weekly, I do think that could come up a little bit higher. I do think that you will get a bounce, like a pretty aggressive bounce like this at some point. Obviously, it didn't happen where I was kind of anticipating last. So maybe not necessarily, but something like this. You know, I do think that a lot of these are, they're really not that far away from like a decent bounce. But for right now, yeah, momentum remains to the downside as long as it's below 71 cents. So I would be short term bearish, looking for this one to maybe even retrace this whole wick and then try for a bounce. The thing is that it's just not going to take too much over here to get a bounce. So, when it does, it can bounce aggressively, I guess, maybe back above $1, but is it going to be ranging here for a while? I would probably guess so, yeah. Let me just delete all of this. Let's do this for this chart. Boom. Boom. I think the bullish view is that if there is one at this point, is that it's going to reclaim like 82 cents before end of month. If you see that, then I guess maybe there's some hopium for this to be a positive consolidation. But, with monthly momentum, weekly momentum, daily momentum, all pointing to the downside, it's very, very hard to love this one long term. Although, like I said, maybe it comes a little bit lower here, but ultimately you're very likely looking at a big bounce. If it's bullish, you'll see it bounce back above like 1.25. If it's bearish, you'll see it top out below 1.25. But do not underestimate how long this can trade sideways here, because that can go on for a very long time. All right, we have Hamia next. He says, "Hey Crown, can you look at others chart?" Sure. Let's try this. Others, the crypto others. Exactly as you would expect. Let me just check the time here. Okay, 30 minutes in. Do this for a little bit longer. Let's see. Let's go to a monthly. And what time frame are we looking at? Okay, no time frames given, so I'm just going to make it up. All right, go to the monthly. Again, long term, failed to break out. In fact, didn't even test the top side or the previous high. This one, I have to remain corrective here. Or not remain corrective, because I haven't looked at this one before, but I have to be correct. I have to be leaning towards a further correction here, as long as it's below about 275 billion. It's got a lot of work to do, man. I guess the bullish view is that you're gonna bounce back above 300 billion by end of month. If that were to happen, okay, cool. It's probably spend some time going sideways still, but I guess I would be bullish. But until then, this is looking to me like it wants to trade a lot more sideways here. Going off of maybe more the weekly range, probably something like this. Yeah, something like this, I'd suppose. But we'll see. Like I said, a lot of these things are probably looking for bounces soon. It's just I want to see that daily momentum turn back up before I lean into a bounce. For now, probably, I guess, more likely to retrace this wick before a bounce. and then we just kind of see where things are at by the end of the year, or sorry, not by the end of the year, but by the end of the month. Here's what a quarterly looks like. Not terrible, but not great. Yeah, I guess it could salvage itself here, but really need to see above about 350 by end of March. So those would be the two big numbers I'd be aware of on those higher term timeframes. Mr. Lay says, hey, Mr. Crown, hypothetically, is it fair to say that if I, as an esteemed Quant Prime member, were to simply copy the strategies as they stand, that I should, in theory, achieve the profit factors, which a simple like me interprets as £1 invested will return 1.5 on average if the profit factor is 1.5. Yeah. So if you're asking for like a definition of the profit factor, that's exactly what it means. For every dollar that you invest or that you trade, you're gonna make back $1.5. But I would say that there are small but worthwhile nuances to know regarding the backtesting results with especially that profit factor in mind versus your actual results, because your actual results, your backtesting results are based off of a perfect entry and exit, whereas your real live trading results, you're probably, at least on one side of the market, on the buy side, on the sell side usually, going to be using a market order. So is your fill price going to be exactly where your exit price was on the trading view chart when that fired off? Probably not. In some cases it might be better, meaning that you get a better price. In some cases it might be worse, meaning that you get a worse price. And so long term it probably averages out, to be fair, but it is worth knowing, of course. And this is also another reason why I really advise people there, especially as we go on, to avoid the lower time frames for use, to use. Just one, the fees really do eat into your profits, and then two, just you have more room for error on a higher term time frame, and in those cases, I mean, a few dollar difference is just not going to really matter towards your overall P&L. But yeah. Okay. Matt Gal says, King Kunta, who the hell is that? Can you talk us through what a typical trading day looks like for you? Wake up, poop, coffee, poop, check charts. I mean, as far as trading goes, nowadays, it's a lot different than what it was in the past when I was doing things manually. Now I do things almost exclusively, in fact, exclusively through the Quant Prime service. I mean, it's not just something that I show, but it's something that I actually use, So that obviously automates the whole trading aspect of things, but I still need to do strategy creation and strategy management. So, as far as like an actual day, I guess if you're looking for like a breakdown, I actually gave that, I think, in one of the prior videos, but yeah, I like to do all my work in the morning if that's what you're most interested in. I just feel like I'm sharpest in the morning. So the first like 6 hours of the day are pretty critical. I want to get all of the hard things done there. So, late at night, I'll do like maybe more menial tasks, but, or late at night for me, I mean, that's like fucking 4 p.m. But yeah, anyways, what's the first thing you're checking on the charts, indicators? I mean, I don't really... Yeah, I don't really care about this sort of stuff. Like when I'm trading, I don't care about the stuff that I speak about on YouTube. The YouTube analysis is not, I understand, like I've come to understand over time what YouTube analysis needs to be geared towards. It needs to be geared towards the general audience, what the general audience cares about, general direction, which, you can talk about. But as far as trading, I mean, that is certainly no substitute for a trading plan. But when it comes to a trading plan, I mean, I don't really, again, I'm not doing things manually, so I don't like check the chart and be like, oh, my RSI is low, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna enter here. But every morning, obviously, I want to check on the chart, for the purpose of my YouTube videos to know direction. So I'll start with like a daily, obviously a new day, you'll have some new information there. And then if a higher term time frame than that, close like a 2-day, 3-day, 5-day, those, I'll check out those as well. I always want to start off with the higher ones and then work my way lower after that. So yeah. All right. Rectop says, GM, what are your thoughts on Elliott Wave theory? Elliott Wave, your money goodbye is what I think about that. Look, yes, I have seen it work in the past, but the thing is that anything The problem is that you'll see anything work if you look at things long enough. I do like the way that Fibbo Swanee uses it, just because he uses it more as like a guide rather than like a real plan. And I think that's really the only way that you can make sense of it. But in theory, Elliott wave theory kind of does make sense. I mean, things do trend in threes typically before like a major correction. But it doesn't always work out like that. And the problem with my biggest gripe with Elliott wave is that you can never verify something until the very end. But it is good with kind of populating different scenarios that are possible. That's that I think that's like the big value in it. You can kind of generally, not certainly not perfectly, but generally map out the trajectory and kind of what to expect. But price always has its own ideas, of course. Anyways, Treebeard says, please Dixie on the daily weekly. I think we did that earlier, so we're all good there. But good morning to you, Treebeard. Weird Beard says, hey, Crown, thanks for answering all my stupid questions. All good, man. If we do get a left translated cycle and Bitcoin shows signs of topping around March, or at least before Q4, can you imagine Ethereum going down sideways as well? Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to decide if I should rotate some Bitcoin into Ethereum when QE starts. Yeah, I mean, good luck with that. Good luck with that, man. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you in that case. Ethereum is certainly likely to follow Bitcoin. If Bitcoin tops out and it plays out a big downside move, you're going to see Ethereum fall as well. And Ethereum has proven itself to be very weak this cycle too. So if Bitcoin falls, Ethereum's going to fall, but more. So yeah, man, I'd be very cognizant of that. Probably the biggest mistake that you can make in any of these markets is just not aiming in the same direction as Bitcoin, because that, especially to the upside, because it at minimum, like, you kind of need Bitcoin to be up for alts to be up. Not always. Sometimes Bitcoin ranges, yes, but even then, I mean, Bitcoin needs to be in a general uptrend in order for that to even be possible to begin with. All right. Volpes says, GM, could you please look at Sartorius stock on the higher time frames? Would you agree 170 was a low? Let's check it out. SRT. It'll be funny if I look at this one, it's like much below 170. Let's check it out. 170, that's nowhere near. Yeah, do you mean 17? Because this thing is nowhere near. Oh, you're talking about Sartorius, okay. SRT, this thing. Oh, it's a German stock. Was 170 the low? I wouldn't say so yet. Well, hold on. I was just on a quarterly. So I'm guessing this is, 165 is your current low. Let's go to a monthly. Again, I fucking hate these charts, man. They just go down for years. This thing, whatever this thing is, it's been alive during a major bull market, and it has done absolutely fuck all. I mean, it's not just that isn't fuck all. It's been going down. It's even worse. I don't like anticipating reversals before they happen, and this one would at minimum have to get back above 235 on a monthly for me to even consider that I might be putting in the next major low here. I mean, it's very bad. It's a very bad habit to be betting against the general trend. Do we have any sort of divergences here is the real question. I mean, that can be somewhat useful. You did, but that was preceding the last bounce, and it's already finding a bit of a high there. Monthly does have 3 drives, so it is definitely possible here, I suppose. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that you ever reconfirm reversal until you're back up about 235. Until then, it's a pretty good bounce. I think short term, it looks like this one's going to come back down, honestly. Yeah, I think this one comes back down short term, but doesn't make a new low. Probably not. I think what you're likely looking at here is something like this. Boom. Boom. And you probably come back down, maybe close to like 180, 175. And then if it is bullish, you'll see something like that. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. All right, one more sip. Elsa, what time is it? 7 past 10. All right. Do you want to get ready so we can go? How long is it going to take you? Well, then start getting ready. Oh, okay. Mr. Barash says, hello, sir. Hello, sir, as well. How you doing, ma'am? Ocean Seed Farm says, hi and thank you, please. Hello and thank you, please. Ondo, daily, weekly. Yeah, we're not going to do two here. I can only do so many shitcoins before my brain explodes. Ondo, generally, I think these LARP lines still playing out. Trade sides within this range. Short term probably comes down. You know, again, wouldn't be surprised to see this thing in the short term come back down to like 120, 118 region. From there, really want to see these LARP lines play out if it is going to be bullish long term. Weekly, very, very heroic bounce off of the 55 so far, so that is a good sign. Above 155, that's where I start to switch around to being bullish again. Until then, I think you're just in a corrective sort of territory. But long term, I mean, it has an uptrend, so not terrible. Cool. Reddy McNutty says, can you please look at Brett and Whiff on the daily? How about just one? Why does no one read the fucking initial message? Did I post it there? We'll record a 1-hour video and answer as best as I can as many questions from this thread as possible. First come, first serve. Please, one question each so others can get on the action. Read the fucking OP, sir. Sorry, I know you don't mean anything by it. Anyways, we'll look at Brett. These are both shitcoins, sir. You're looking at fucking memes, okay? You're looking at memes. Like, just acknowledge you're looking at the lowest of the low garbage. All right, what's Brett? Oh, surprise, surprise. Brett, down 85%. Wow. Great, man. Look, it's going to have its bounces at some point, but this thing's done. It's done for forever. Now I want to look at the other piece of shit. What was the other thing? Whiff? This dog is dead. Let's see. Yeah, this dog's fucking dead, man. This dog's fucking dead. If it's going to be bullish, it's going to do those LARP lines. It's not. This one's done for forever. Okay, maybe not for forever. You shouldn't say that. I mean, obviously, things can change in like 10 years, but memes were always destined to fail. I don't understand. Like, people convince themselves. I'm not saying that you did this, but like, people convince themselves of such fucking nonsense. Like, the memes are the new culture. No, it's the attention economy and all this. Like, no, you're a fucking moron. Like, you fall for every fucking stupid narrative in this market. Not you. Talking about other people. But yeah, again, it's gonna have its bounce along the ways, but this thing's done. It's done. Like, just fucking forget it. Altcoins go to hell. Okay, it's that simple. Altcoins go to hell. Dan the man says, "Hey Crown, hope you're doing great in Finland. We're actually in Florida right now. I've been following you for the past 4 to 5 years. Fuck yeah, man. And thank you. Awesome, man. Thank you as well. Now to my question. I have around 170,000 in crypto. Okay, tell me exactly where the keys are. Bitcoin biggest holding, Ethereum, Solana, AVAX, Super Sui, and around 20,000 in low cap trash. I have 30,000 in ETFs, 10K in government bonds, 15. Okay, am I supposed to be like an investment advisor here? I am not. And 3K on the bank. My goal is to gain enough money to buy a house in the next 3 to 5 years here in Germany. How would you diversify your assets going forward? I would love to get you as a mentor with your experience. I appreciate the sentiment of that, and I get asked this a lot. It's just, honestly, man, I don't want to. I don't want to do it for anyone because the simple answer is I only have so much limited free time, and there's just really no price that someone could even pay at this point that would really make it worth it, or at least no price that would be nice to ask, I guess. But yeah, as far as diversifying your assets, I like personally, okay, so when you ask me, you're going to get my preferences. So just understand this coming from my perspective. I would dump anything that is not named Bitcoin. To be honest, the longer that I stay in this, in this sector, the more and more I lean towards that, and I would go more into ETFs. Look, ETFs are boring, yes, but they go up. Okay, they go up. Government bonds, probably not worth it that much, but you're diversified, I guess. Mutual funds, same thing, I guess, with ETFs. I would de-risk on some of those altcoins and go heavier into ETFs. It's more of a long-term play, which you seem to be more long-term minded. Like, people get so seduced by the crypto gains and them happening very, very fast, but the losses happen just as fast as the gains, in some cases even faster, or probably actually in most cases even faster. So, diversifying your assets, you're not diversifying anything by having different cryptos, to be honest. Like, they're all going to do what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin goes up, then all of the shitcoins will, the strong ones will go up more. But Bitcoin, if you just want to have a lower risk profile, of course, it still has its own risk. Bitcoin would be the best crypto to own. And then I would just go into ETFs, because ETFs on average are going to return somewhere around about 10% a year. Probably not this year, but because the last couple of years returned like 20%, which is very much outsized. But yeah, I really lean a lot more towards traditional markets, especially if you're more long-term minded. Like just go the easy route. Go the easier route. I really do think it's a big mistake to be overweight in crypto. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. There is more potential for gains, obviously, but in your case, you have a nice little nest egg. I wouldn't fuck around with it too much. I think you're gonna probably end up losing more money in crypto than making, and ETFs are just going to be, generally better, assuming that you're going with like the major US indices, these sort of things. Anyways, Bitcoin Buddy has some periods. Hello, sir. Good period to you as well. Muketh says, "Hey Crown, have you tried using ATR stop loss finder with a quant program?" Actually, no, I have not really done too much work with it, to be honest. I know some people absolutely fucking love using that as a risk management tool. It makes a lot of sense in theory, a lot of sense in theory. But I don't know. I'm pretty set in my own ways at this point. I don't really want to, I really don't want to fuck with something that's working for me. But it's not to say that ATR can't work as well. Of course it can. Seems like many people seem to find a lot of value in it. So yeah, of course it sounds like in just reading your comment, it sounds like you have found a good, some good value with it. So yeah, continue on with it, man. Don't let my preferences, drastically influence what's already working for you, because just to get a working strategy takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of effort. It's not an easy thing to do. So once you have a working strategy, just don't fuck around with things. Don't fuck around. All right. Crypto Life says, "Hey Crown, thanks for all your time and efforts. All good, man. I'm just a fucking nerd talking on the internet. Can you please take a look at Intel? It's at the 886 retracement on the weekly. Usually not a good sign. Bullish divergence on the 4-hour. Weekly in a 4-hour, sir. It's not going to matter." What was this thing again? Intel. Oh, INTC. Yeah. I actually do own this one. Not because I think it's actually bullish though, but because I like the company. Just to be really fucking clear. Anyways, I'm underwater on this one by like 10%. Yes. So first off, there was a little bit of bullish divergence, but that already played out in the bounce, and the bounce already keeled on over. I mean, that's not a good sign. Monthly, it's a very small amount of hopium, but it is present nonetheless. That maybe it forms a low here. Just we would not be expecting to see it below September's low if that were to happen. The risk here with Intel is that you're gonna come all the way back down to about $15-16. I think if you want to hold this one long term, like 10, 20 years, probably that's okay. But just be very aware that it can spend a lot of fucking time down here in the lower block of this very long-term consolidation, because that really is what it is. But yeah, if you're going off the 4-hour, is there bullish divergence? It's building, I guess, yeah, but I wouldn't trust a 4-hour when all of the higher term timeframes are signaling caution here. So yeah, not the best, man. Not the best, but there's a small amount of hopium that it literally turns at like basically where it's at right now. But the second that it goes below September's lows, I mean, that's that hopium is fucking done and dusted. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, news. Yes, going off of the news, not very helpful, as you can see. It really, like, if you're playing the news, you're the last person to know. Everyone else already knows as well. You have no edge, just to put it bluntly. Anyways, JJ says, "Can you give your opinion on coffee futures, KC1?" Okay. Okay, oh, it must be here. All right. And what time frame are you on? in all-time highs, when coffee at all-time highs. Well, I guess a lot of people drink this shit. Yeah, this looks like a legitimate breakout to me. This is like one of the only bullish charts we've seen today. Like long-term, obviously bullish charts. I do think that you might get a correction, you know, this month or next month, maybe back down to like 350, but overall, that should be an opportunity. The quarterly is very clearly and obviously breaking out. I think that this one trades higher into at least the first half of this year. Wouldn't be surprised to see this thing at 500 plus. Sounds like you're very long-term. I think that's good to be on something like this. Just be aware, you know, probably sometime later this month or early in March, probably plays out a pullback, but maybe not relevant to you if you're on the very high-term timeframes like that. All right. BT Storm says, good morning, kind sir. I hope you had a nice flight and are enjoying America. When Crown Cribs? We're looking at houses for sure. Found a few that we like, but it's going to be a long process, honestly, man. It's going to be a very long process, I expect. Already going through some growing pains of figuring out the how real estate works here, because it's very different, actually. I've had some very interesting conversations with realtors recently. Anyways, could you please look at INJ on the weekly monthly and tell me if I should buy tissues to wipe my tears, or maybe need them sometime in the future for other bodily fluids? Well, let's see first before we give an answer on this. INJ. Not looking good, bruh. To quote the meme. If it was going to be bullish, I would have expected these LARP lines to play it over here. They did not. They were wrong. The LARP lines are not always correct. In some cases, they are very wrong. Do I think you're going to bounce off of this lower block here? Probably yes. But again, this is on its way to a long-term mega massive breakdown, in my opinion. You know, probably does have a bounce here somewhere soon, but look, as long as you're below $24, I think you keep those tissues for your asshole, because you're going to be getting rammed with serious force, repeatedly as well, of course. Yeah, all higher term time frames ugly as fuck. Not great. But again, short term might have a bounce there, just as long as it's below 24, which is nearly 50% below. I wouldn't like it. All right. TMWSIY says, hello, good sir. I've been watching since 2021, but the first time commented. Awesome. I can't even speak. When you talk about higher term timeframes, you look at the daily, weekly, monthly timeframes. Do you put any weight on the quarterly or higher timeframes? For Bitcoin, yes. It's just you don't really get an update there too often. I mean, naturally, it only happens 4 times a year, so it just doesn't really change that much, you know. Could you like a link on the quarterly time frame? I don't think it's that useful on altcoins, man. There's just not enough history here. I mean, shit, even a monthly on link probably isn't too great. It's better, I mean, you know, well, I mean, this one does actually have a decent amount of history, I suppose, but, you know, what is this telling you on the quarterly? If you're bullish, you best fucking pray to Boolah Jesus that this thing does not trade below this month's low, basically. I mean, I guess as long as you're above there, this thing can salvage itself. But, you know, to me, this looks like, you know, it looks like it's getting ready to continue on with the range, and it just tested the top side of the range. So, yeah. But we'll see. I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess you could have some hopium as long as you're above 15.5, but just it is hopium. I do want to really acknowledge that point. Jarus B says, hello, Uncle Eric, kind sir. Good morning to you, son or nephew or whatever the fuck. Could you please look at MicroStrategy? Yeah. This will actually be interesting to look at, because we generally expect MicroStrategy and Bitcoin to play together, and MicroStrategy, I would say, better than Bitcoin right now, actually. You know, so weekly putting in a higher low here. It looks like it. When I go down to the daily, though, it looks like this is going to fail this week. Look, I guess you can kind of run with that as long as it's above, what is it, 309? Just whatever last Monday's low was, the 3rd of February. Second it goes below there, I think MicroStrategy is in for a very deep correction, probably back down to like 260 to 270. Sorry, let me make that somewhere between like 280 and 290. which is still a pretty big fucking correction, at least, and perhaps even all the way down to like 230, 230 to 240-ish region, somewhere down around there. But give the weekly a chance here first. I mean, it's not terrible on the weekly. It's just the daily is one that's hinting at downside right now. So we'll see if that one follows through. Momentum oscillators are all positioned to the downside, so it is a legitimate concern that it actually does fail here and trades lower. But I still would not position myself for that until it takes out the 3rd of February's low last Monday. All right, how deep into this video are we? 1 hour. Holy shit. Okay, I think we're literally at the last question here. I literally got through all of them today. Not that many questions this week. Crypto Khalifa says, "Good morning, sir. Thank you for doing this. It's such a good way to learn. Awesome, man. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Pound dollar on the weekly and daily." Okay. Daily probably comes back down to, what was it, Monday's low. Weekly. I'd still be looking for a bounce around there, though. Don't think this one necessarily breaks down from here just yet. I think that you're going to be playing out a weekly range between 1.25 to the upside versus like 121 to the downside for a while. Monthly, though, is technically in trending motion to the downside. So you know what? I actually need to revise that. I do think that this one won't just test the last Monday's low, but actually probably does come back down closer to 121 over the next month or two, whatever it ends up being. Yeah, I mean, is it going to continue from here to the downside, like actually make new lows? Possible, but I want to obviously see it take out January's lows first. If it does, then yeah, the risk is significantly lower, maybe closer to like 117 to 118, which is a big move for Forex. But yeah, we've gotten to the very end of the Q&A here. We've gone through actually all of them today, which was pretty awesome. Very time efficient for this one. I posted the new Q&As on Discord and YouTube as well. So we'll end things on that note. As always, I want to wish everyone the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully next week.